projects, rich is whipping that black hard. I'm just saying, my skills is whipping that crack hard. Look at LeBron James. The black guard, got big lips and black bras. As soon as I leave Earth, it's back to the stars. Right to job lives with jewelers and girls. Just ask nods if I rule the world. Yo, my mental vision, setting up intuition. And you really don't have nothing if you intuition. I work with light just to give birth to life. I was born in all forms in the perfect night. The black god, got big lips and black bras. As soon as I leave Earth, it's back to the start. I am the ruler, just like the Lion of Judah. My third eye was built like an iron computer that's dark matter and deep thought making your heart shatter. I sleepwalk, talking with smart chatter, so I don't need you to ride or die with me. I got ancestors that vibe from the other side with me, and they beam up life after death. We got noses on our eyes, cause the lights are breath. My priceless flesh, the final copy. Look like Anunnaki, black god, got big lips and black bra. In the projects, rich is whipping that black hard. I'm just saying, my skills is whipping that crack hard. Look at LeBron James. The black guard, got big lips and black bra. As soon as I leave Earth, it's back to the stars. Right to job lives with jewelers and girls. Just ask nods if I rule the world. Yo, the black guard, got big lips and black bras. In the projects, rich is whipping that black hard. My rhymes the same, my skills is whipping that crack hard. Look at LeBron James, that nigga's a black heart. And you wonder why we spit lead. Just the whole reps, niggas got big heads like old Max. Way that I'm writing is more than vague. This is the age of enlightenment. We the Moors in Spain. Now that your honor, I pray to a black vagina. Even the Pope prayed to the black Madonna. In the sun, I shine as bright as I be. I'm the greatest of all time, like Muhammad Ali. And when I die, baptized in the fire. Only fly at night, black skies are higher. Prior to job, my lives with jewelers and girls. Just sex nods if I rule the world, rubies and pearls. Black guard, got big lips and black bra. In the projects, rich is whipping that black hard. I'm just saying, my skills is whipping that crack hard. Look at LeBron James. The black guard, got big lips and black bra. As soon as I leave Earth, it's back to the stars. Right to job lives with jewelers and girls. Just ask nods if I rule the world. Yo, the black guard, from infinite to infinite stars. It's infinite light. My life's got an infinite charge. The instruments I implement to give strength to your heart. The temple within, the imprint mimic the art. Into the dark, the dragon spark the fathom from a higher consciousness. I talk with atoms. I live in the land and I live in the stars. Original man, I am the image of God. Homie Tut, I'm Amen. I cut diamonds, so as long as I live, nothing can stop shining. You gon' need to be in the bins to drive me crazy. Live on CNN, hearing cries from Haiti. You know the people down there trying to hide them babies. The black guards, surrounded in light, attract stars. Black guards, surrounded in light, attract stars. The black guards, surrounded in light, attract stars. I told you, all of my critics, I told you all that I was the greatest of all time. All of you, I know you got it. I know you got it, but the man been coming. I'm gonna show you how great I am. I told you, I'm the real champion. I told you, I'm the champion of all. All of you know, all of my critics, all of you know. Peace. I don't know how my audio sound at this time, so if everybody in the chat room can hear me, just press 1 and press 2 if you can't, so I can adjust my audio. Shout out to all the Aborigines, North, South, Central, as well as the conjoining islands. Peace to all the gods and all the goddesses as well. Okay, let me see what we got going on up in here. Shout out to all the brothers and sisters. Okay, we good then, man. Peace. Miss you, brothers and sisters. Just been kind of like handling some legal business and as well as some business in general. Shout out to everybody. Yeah, man, it's been a rough year for me. Had to take some time off just from, some of this information, because sometimes this information will overwhelm you and you got to kind of go back into the matrix sometime just to get right. But, I'm in and out, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to everybody. Got a nice bill coming up, my brother, Amani Bay.
Let me see something. So I need this bill. Been asking. Yeah, man. Peace to everybody, man. I'm still around. I pop up every now and then. I ain't go nowhere. Matter of fact, you know what? My email ain't changed. It's still the same. It's just how you got to take some time off, man, because sometimes a lot of this information overwhelms you, and it's like, you got to kind of just fall back for a little bit. But we back, man. We back with some information, man. It's gonna be a heavyweight build. I got my brother Amani Bay back on the platform, man. You guys give him a good, what I'm saying, introduction as well. Let him do his thing. And with that being said, I'm just gonna mute my mic and let the brother go ahead and do what he do.
Thanks a lot there, A1. I really appreciate it. Um, and I'm glad to be back on your platform. I believe it's been months, over 4 or 5 months or so. And, you know, I've been real busy here. I'm sure you have as well. So I just wanted to, I felt it was necessary to share some information with the family. And it's always been my purpose to bring value. I've been in this cipher for um, a year now. I did my very first presentation on A1's channel a year ago, and that presentation again was I'm always about, as I said, told the family last year when I first started. My purpose is to help those who are interested in claiming their ancestral estate. That's always been my position, and that's never changed, right? So that's my purpose. And um, I've noticed that recently. Excuse me, fam. I don't, when I'm giving my presentation, I don't really view the chat. So if there are any comments to me there, I won't be able to read that. But I appreciate, all praise, and I appreciate all of you guys. Um, but forgive me because I just, I stick to my notes, my map. And I just follow that without looking at the chat. And this is a live presentation; it's not pre-recorded, right? So, but yeah. So my purpose has been to share valuable information and help those in need, claim their ancestral estate. Right? That's been my purpose, and that's it. I'm only here for that purpose. I judge everyone on what you bring to the table. So I believe I did around 6 presentations on A1's platform, um, and very, very grateful for that. Um, but I noticed that sometimes it's never about ego. It's not about me, right? And it's just about the evidence and valuable information that's going to help change lives for the better, right? That's what it's about. So, and so your book of work, you have to look yourself in the mirror and ask yourself honestly, what have I done to bring value to myself, to my family, to those around me, and to those others distant relations. Just ask yourself that in the mirror. You know, so um, I will first, you know, um, disclose, give full disclosure because that's what it's all about, full disclosure, right? Remember, I always tell the family that we have to imagine this is a courtroom, right? You're the jury members listening to the evidence, and you will, deliberate and weigh that evidence. And if that you feel that that evidence is valuable and can help you with your life, then I did my job, right? So, but let's first, so everything's clear here. And I'm going to give full disclosure of who I am. Um, so first, I will share a little bit about my history, my family history, a little bit about my genealogy. I will share with the family, right? Um, but again, It's all about evidence in a court of law, right? So let me move over to this here. So let me first, and this is the time will show my face because I need to first confirm who I am to the family. Other than, then after I confirm who I am, you see who I am, you see my face, I present my ID, you see my family name, what house I'm from. Then once I confirm and show and prove who I am, then it's no longer about looking at me. It's about me presenting the evidence. I want you looking at the evidence. But when it comes to confirming who I am, so because I will share some of my genealogy, but you need to know that I'm connected to these family members. Anybody can just show things, and it's just alleged, and if they fail to prove it, right? So let me share my screen here. Share screen. Let's do that. Okay. Share my screen. Okay, I believe I'm sharing there now. Can everyone in the chat confirm if they can see my screen? Let's see here. Let's go to here. So I will show my Japanese ID there. I need to know if everyone can see that. Put a 1 in the chat if you can see that. It's my Oh, I'm not screen sharing. Oh, wow. A1, are you around? Wow. Okay, hold on.
Put it back up, Amon. My
Am I
bad.
screen? Am I screen sharing now?
Yeah, yeah, you good. Hold up. I'm about to put you in. Hold up.
Okay.
You just clicked off.
Okay, hold on. How about that now? Can you see that?
Yeah, you good. You good. You good, my dude.
All right, thanks. Thanks. Okay, perfect. All right, so um, here's my ID, my Japanese ID. Okay, I'm from the House of Grisette, right? Andre Marcellus Grisette, right there. Boom. So everyone can see it. Government of Japan, residence card, right? My date of birth, right? Okay. So I am who I say I am. So before I show my genealogy, you need to know who the hell I am. Okay. So let's move on to. So you see that. So now I will share with you. Let's go to the tree here. Let's go to the tree. Okay. Let's make this smaller. Let's go down. Go down here. Oh, by the way, let me go back, family. Hold on a second. Hold on a second here. I just can't do that. That's not correct. Hold on. My apologies. I forgot the most important thing, right? Hold on. It's a courtroom here now. Evidence has to be corroborated, right? Hold on. Where's the StreamYard thing here? It is here. Okay, let me turn on my goddamn camera. I'm sorry about that, family. There's the face. There's the grill. Okay, you see the grill. Okay, so you see that. There's the photos, the picture there. So you know that's me, right? Let's go back. So yes, that's me. Hi. Hello, that's me there, family. All right, so now let's move back to the evidence. Okay, so let's go back to the tree here. All right, so we'll start here down with me, my wife here, and my three children. Right, we're set. So you see when I take you to the paternal line, you see that family name's Grisette, and I just showed and proved that this is me. Okay, right now I will just share a little bit with the family. So I'm a real American with skin in the game, with ancestors who 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 actually set up the 13 colonies, and so I have very a strong interest in what we set up here in America, and we're protected at all costs. All right, so this is my mother, Brenda Ziegler. She's still living, of course, and then my father, Wallace Lee Grissett, and he died in 2018. So now let me share this with the family as well. So as you get a little bit more personal, a little bit deeper. Okay, this is his obituary. Okay, Wallace Lee Grissett, right? So I'm still showing and proving. I'm from the House of Grissett. That's him. He had his own limousine business, by the way, right? Um, and it was a Muslim Islamic funeral because his brother, my uncle, that's what he wanted to do. He was buried at the Islamic Mortuary Cemetery in Rosemead, California, and then that's Arabic. But I just want to get down here. All right, so here we see here, Wallace Lee Grissett was born August 7, 1947, to parents. So Fred Grissett and Isabel Grissett. Now that's important. Okay, that's his father, his mother. Those are my grandparents on my paternal line. So you go back to the tree. So you see Wallace Lee Grissett. Okay, take it up here. You see his parents, and you make it bigger. Make it a little bigger so everyone can see it. Load up a little more. There. All right, so Wallace Lee Grissett, his parents, Fred Grissett and Isabel Marble. Now, if you notice, my grandfather, Fred, died in 1947, right? That's the same year my father was born. So yeah, exactly January 6, 1947. He's from Coteau Parish, Louisiana. Basically Shreveport area. It's called Bossier, Louisiana, right? Where it's basically next to Shreveport. But see, he died January 6, 1947, right? So my father was born August 7th. So my father never saw his own father. And so when his father died, my grandfather died, my father was basically 2 months in his mother's womb. Let's go back here to the tree. Okay. So he never actually got to know his father, right? So we showed and proved that. Let's go back to to this here. Okay. So I just connected you to my paternal grandparents, Isabella and Fred Grissett, right? So then there's some photos. Those are my children when they were smaller. My family, they're with him together. So I'm showing and proving that, okay? Now let's go over to well, before we do that, let's just go up to my great-grandfather. So Fred Grissett's parents, let's go here, okay? Martha Richards, Pinckney Grissett. Okay, now, this Pinckney Grissett here, I want to share this with the family as well. Where is it? Let's see. I'm going to be here. Let's see. Hold on a second here. Let me share this with the family here. Because Pinckney Grissett was issued a land patent in 1903, right? Pinckney land patent right here. Okay, let's blow this up. You can see this. Okay. All right. All right. So now this, again, as I mentioned several times, there's several types of land patents, right? So this particular land patent is pursuant to the May 20th, 1862 Act of the Homestead Land Patent under the United States Federal Republic. Okay, so you see here the land office in Natchitoches, Louisiana, um, based upon the May 20th Act 1862, Pinckney Grisette. And this is the land description. You see down here 160 acres and 50 hundredths of an acre. Okay, now we get to the bottom portion of the patent, right? Onto the said Pinckney Grisette to having to hold the said tract of land with the appurtenances thereof unto said Pinckney Grisette. But look at this, family, and to his heirs crossed out, and then there is reserved from the lands hereby granted a right of any thereon for ditches and canals constructed by the authority of the United States. So you see that line, family. Now, my grandfather, Fred Grisette, never had a relationship with Pinckney Grisette because Pinckney Grisette actually had two families. One with I forgot her name, but she's in the tree here. But one with he had a whole nother wife and another family, and then my great grandmother Martha had children with her. Okay, so my grandfather never had a relationship with Pinckney, right? So, but when Pinckney but my grandfather did live with his stepbrother Henry Grisette, and I have records of that. But now, if my grandfather saw this mutilation through his land patent, obviously because none of his children benefited off of his land, they actually moved to Los Angeles in the 1940s, right? So now they were to see this, heirs. My great grandfather saw this, and if he didn't really know the law and what any of this meant, he may have assumed that his farm and his land could not pass to his children, and that obviously never happened, right? So, but when I got a copy of this, I know because I do know American jurisprudence, and I know that even though this line is mutilated here, that they can't actually do this, and then it is still passed to heirs based upon probate, intestate, or inheritance rules, right? But what I did, I took it upon myself to contact the Bureau of Land Management. I emailed BLM, right? And I wanted to put them on the spot because emails are recorded, and that's evidence, prima facie evidence, right? So I needed to know what their intent was. So let me show this here. So I basically drew first blood because once things cool down in the States with that pandemic crap, hopefully right around February, March, I'll be able to travel to Louisiana to basically stake my claim on it. But I already drew first blood, and I got evidence from the BLM representative, and I will share that with everyone here. So, because of that mutilation line, so that I needed to get something on the record here. So let's see here. Let's go to that email here. Okay. So I don't know if you can see that there. I don't think I can blow that up either. But I will read it. All right. So this is from me to Mr. Frank Radford. Okay. Frank Radford is a let me read this here. So I basically told him long time no talk. I hope all is well and that you had a wonderful weekend. I haven't heard back from you in a while regarding my great grandfather's Pinckney Grisette's land patent. It appears that your organization mutilated his land patent by drawing a line through important words in said land patent, which is unlawful. My great grandfather sacrificed and worked hard and did everything that was required to secure the land. As a result, on April 13th, 1903, he was issued said land patent. The mutilation of said land patent affected my ancestor for generations. And now it's up to me to make things right. I need to know how your organization plans on correcting this wrong. I look forward to hearing from you. So then his reply is here. So you see this here. I don't know if you can see that. I can't make it bigger, but it's, Frank Radford, BLM Eastern Shores, their address, his phone number. So this is this particular representative at this federal entity. And so he replies back, Dear Monty Bay, upon researching other patents in the area, the intent of the crossed out wording is to remove the United States of America's reservation for ditches and canals. This would have been done at the time of the patent being issued. Despite heirs being crossed out, the portion of the sentence, quote, and assigns would give the same rights to heirs, and heirs would be entitled to it. It is possible at the time of the patent being issued to Pinckney Grissett, he did not have any heirs. Well, of course he had heirs because he had 8 children with my great grandmother, and he had 5 children with the other lady he had. So, and he says here, there may be additional pages of patent available from the National Archives of Records and Administration, NARA. All right, so this family is evidence that I will use in my declaration in support to claim this particular land patent. So sometimes, if you, I don't know if any of you who are trying to confirm whether or not your ancestors had land patents, but if you come across any mutilations of the patent, don't worry about that. There's a remedy for that. You just need to get the contact BLM via email because you have a record of it, and put them put their feet to the fire and get them to admit that was not their intent to deny the heirs their right to claim it. All right, so let's continue here. So I just shared a little bit of my paternal side. Now I'm going to show a little bit of my maternal because this is important with the particular probate case of land, my grandmother's property that was an issue, right? So here again, my father, paternal line, my mother, Brenda Ziegler. So we go over here to her parents, and it is here. Let's make it bigger. Okay, Ruby Coco and Lee Arthur Ziegler. My grandmother, Ruby, also from Louisiana. She's from Shreveport. So she's born April 12, 1923, Shreveport, Louisiana. And then my grandfather's also Shreveport, Louisiana. And she moved to California in 1943. So now let me share this further, confirm, corroborate, right? Hold on a second here. Let's see. So I have this here because I'm going to show up the tree here. I'm going to go a little bit higher up the tree, but I need to show you this. So there's no... Okay, I'll share this with the family. Let me see, I gotta flip that. Let's save it down here. Then I can pop it back up and then everyone can see it. Let's make it better. It's my grandmother's death certificate, family, okay? All right, County Department of Health Services death certificate of death. So I just wanna show this. I'm gonna go higher up the tree, okay? So you see here, Ruby C. Lewis, right? April 12th, 1923. She died when she was 84, died in 2007. Now her mother, okay, her father's Edmund Coco. He's from Louisiana. I don't know if you can see that. Let's make it bigger. There. Her father, Edmund Coco, from Louisiana. And her mother, Carrie Presley, Presley from Louisiana. Okay, so now keep in mind that Presley name. That's going to be key. So we go back here to my tree here, right? So we see my grandmother here, Ruby Coco. So let's go up to her parents right here. Edward Coco, Carrie Presley. We just saw that on the death certificate. It's confirmed. So I linked you to my grandmother and her parents. So my great grandmother, Carrie Presley. Now I knew my great grandmother because when I was 6 years old, she used to live with us. Okay, and she died in 1974. So I did actually know her. And then she knew her great grandfather, Stephen Presley, who I will highlight for the family here. Okay, this is let me blow this up. This is we have family reunions usually every year, but I never go because one of my Presley aunt cousins, she's a genealogist. She actually prepared this here brochure for the family reunion. She does all that work, right? But I don't go because she did some you know you know bad things, and she's trying to promote and put sorcery on her own family members while taking land, right? And but I don't want to get too deep into that. But I never go to these reunions. But this is the one in 20. You can go down 2012. Okay. This is a photo of my maternal great grandfather, Stephen Presley. Now he's born in 1820 from Darlington, South Carolina, right? Darlington, South Carolina. So, and this was 2012, July 2021, Shreveport Convention Center, Cottle Street, Shreveport, Louisiana. Now, this ancestor um, was a preacher, okay, Baptist preacher and a carpenter, right? Very, very good carpenter. And he actually built, um, although here it says 3 churches, he actually built 4. Okay, he built 4 churches, pastored at those churches. And of course, he was a massive landowner because, to build a church, you need land, right? So let's see here if I could go open up some of the pages here because this further confirms genealogy, right? So let's go here. Yeah, see, this is why I get mad at Karen. She's trying to push that slave crap on her own ancestor while at the same time um, she has like 80 acres of land, right, from him. Um, but let me get to this part here. Let's see. Because again, if that slave system giving land to people and money, please bring it back. We want a lot of that. But the truth is, the Presleys and you see this name Boykin Witherspoon. Now Boykin Witherspoon is just 4 years older than my grandfather, but Boykin Witherspoon's also from Darlington, California, and the Presleys and the Witherspoons, my grandfather worshipped in the oldest church in Darlington, South Carolina, which was a Welsh, is called the Welsh Baptist Church, Welsh Neck Baptist Church. And it was established in the 1785. Now, when you do the history on the Presleys and the Witherspoons and the Pounceys, right? They were given a land grant because they were actually first in Delaware, and then in 1736, the Crown issued set up a land grant for them to establish near the PD River there, and it became Darlington County. And so they left, the Presleys and the Witherspoons left from Delaware down to South Carolina, Darlington. And then in around 1853-54, they leave Darlington, and he leaves Darlington with Boykin Witherspoon, and then they move and establish into DeSoto Parish area, which is very close to Shreveport there. So here's some of the my grandfather Steve and his wife and their children. So now I want to show on my maternal line, right? So let's make this bigger so everyone can see here. Okay. All right. So the children of Stephen and Phyllis Presley were Carolyn Presley, and she married a Hines, and the Hines actually settled in Houston, Texas, right? And then Peggy Presley Brayboy, many of them also are in Texas. Then Mariah Presley, she married a Hines. Sophia Latin, Cecilia Presley Mitchell, Alfred Presley, and then Isom Presley. Now, Isom Presley married I just showed you my grandmother Ruby, and her mother was Carrie Presley. Carrie Presley's mother is Lottie Pouncey. Okay? Lottie Pouncey. So let's further go down here. Um, Now this is cousin Liz. She lives in Los Angeles now. She's around 86 years old, and we talk occasionally. Now she has 80 acres of land from her great grandfather Stephen Presley. Her brother has 80 acres. Her two sister has 80 acres, right? To this day. Now, one of the sisters' land, because my grandfather built a church and was called. I'll show you down here. Let's go down here. So that's cousin Liz here. These are other family members here. Um, but I want to show you down to here. So this is the Bethel Baptist Church that my great 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 grandfather built. Stephen Presley built. This is one of his churches he built, right? Okay. Right there, Bethel Baptist Church. It still stands. And here's the history. It was organized in 1859. And then here's Stephen. Now it's interesting. Parson. So sometimes they trick the names up. Stephen Parson, Stephen Presley, right? And during the Civil War there, my cousin wrote these stories. I take half the shit what she said with a grain of salt. So we don't got to get into her narratives. There's another church he built, History of Mechanicsville Baptist Church. Now he named it Mechanicsville because there's a town in Darlington, South Carolina called Mechanicsville where he was from. So that's why he named this one as Mechanicsville Baptist Church. Now it's organized in 1870, right? And here's the other church, the Morning Star. This is the Morning Star Baptist Church in DeSoto Parish in Gloucester, Louisiana. Right? Another church he established here. And then the St. Matthew Baptist Church on DeSoto Parish, Stonewall, Louisiana. Right? Now my ancestor here is buried at the Morning Star Baptist Church. That's where he's buried. So wanted to share that there. Oh yeah, now this is the Buena Vista Plantation. Okay, built 1859. My great Stephen Presley helped build this plantation. Okay, now interestingly, it's a historic site today. Now, when I get down to Louisiana, I'm going to confirm all these land deeds and stuff to find out what really happened and who really owns title. Because the cover story is that the Witherspoons lived here. But the Witherspoon, I have Witherspoon's 1859 land patent, and it's not in this particular area. So whenever, a lot of these structures are when they become historic societies, then that means that because if certain families parents own this, it will naturally pass to them. But as we know, family with property that was originally patented and then became heirs property, they want to hide the connection that the land was patented and then create narratives. And so we'll never realize that this could actually be one of our ancestors' properties, right? Um, yeah. So, and she's there. Yeah. So he was a carpenter. He was instrumental in building not only churches, but he helped build. Yeah, she's calling this Witherspoon's home. There's no evidence of that, right? There's no evidence of that. So I just wanted to share that with the family there first. So share a little bit about myself. Disclose my information, and then we can go ahead and move on from there. Um, and because so there's a lot of statements from people about non-lawyers professing that they have um, that they're competent when it comes to jurisprudence. Now, I've never stated since I've been here with the family for over a year that I am a lawyer. Of course, I can never make a statement like that. I'm not a bar member, nor would I ever want to be one. But as an American, we have a system here in America where, as an American, we can represent our own case. We can handle our own affairs when it comes to legal matters. Okay? So I am a master, a grandmaster at handling my own affairs when it comes to legal matters. That's what I am. Not a lawyer. Never made that statement. Okay? So I don't practice law. That's not what I do. But as an American who is competent in handling his own affairs, yes, I can handle my own affairs, and I have handled my own affairs, and my handling of legal affairs, my work is published. And I will share that with the family because, again, that's important. You need to know that if someone says that he is competent in handling his own affairs when it comes to legal matters, you must show and prove that. And I understand that we've been subjected to a system that has beaten us down, stripped away our confidence, took away our love for self, where we look, and those who look like us, we don't think you are competent because you look like us. You look like me, I don't believe in you. You can't do anything. You're not competent in handling legal affairs. Only a licensed bar member can do that. We've been beat down to a point, family, where that's what we believe. And then I'm going to show you, because we're under that kind of sorcery, we're getting ripped off by thieves who are licensed bar members and judges. And when it comes to land and property holdings and estates, oh my God, family, they got $1 billion racket going on every day. It's a cash cow. I can say that because I've been in those battlefields and I won all those battlefields and I know them. You don't know them if you never battled with them. And I will share with the family a little bit of my resume because it's all about showing and proving. I understand your concerns. I understand everyone's concern because when it comes to land and these land patents, you can't play around with this. No, you must be competent. But remember, a licensed bar member, show me one, give me a case number where there's a licensed bar member who helped a melanated individual claim their land patent. Because you have to understand, a licensed bar member is a state agent for whatever state that licensed that individual, that particular bar license. His allegiance is to that particular state agency. They can never 100% represent our interests. It's a conflict of interest. But again, it's freedom of choice. So all I advise everyone, so you come to me, oh, should I get a bar member? Well, then I'm going to give you the good, the positive and the negative part, and then you get to make your decision. But the negative outweigh the bad. Remember, family, one of my earlier builds, when I showed the documentary of Louisiana and South Carolina landowners. Remember the Louisiana family, the Lewis family there in Louisiana with 450 acres? What happened to their heirs' property? It got taken away and was auctioned off. Where were the bar members in the state of Louisiana to come help the Lewis family? What did the documentary say? That we own more than 16 million acres of land all over the South, heirs' property. But they created a legal device to where all they need to do is get 20% of the heirs to sell their portion, and then they can auction off the 80% for a song and a dance. Where are the bar members to stop that? They failed us. So as a real American, you are presumed to know the law as an American. If you can't handle your own affairs and you hire a bar member, that's what you're stating to the court. You are incompetent. I know we went through their educational system. I know they beat all of us down. They lied to us and tell us we didn't accomplish anything. You're worthless. But there's a few of us who snapped out of that. And I know it's difficult to believe because such individuals like myself, I'm relegated to the realm of myth and fantasy. But there's real life battles out there. So my thing is be careful and always give full disclosure when you're giving advice. When it comes to the ancestral estates, no, you can't play around with it because you got only one opportunity. You screw up in there and get dismissed with prejudice. And now, not only that, the case with the Lewis family in Louisiana who lost 450 acres by that legal device they created, the enemies. These lawyers know this system, but no, they're not going out to help them with the real. I did actually a little of their genealogy, and it is patented land, and they can actually get their land back. But what bar members are going out there to help them? Some of us are competent, so let me get into that. Now, my very first, I believe it was my very first build last year. Yeah, that's right, because the first build was actually YouTube cut it off. Remember that, family? When I showed the videos and I actually went into some of my resume and my legal accomplishments, that part one was actually cut off, right? So, and then the notion that, you go to jail if you're not represented by a bar member. Well, okay, so first of all, family, like I said, my grandmother died 2007. Well, my grandmother was very, very competent when it came to financial money affairs. Very, very competent. So what she did in 2004, she set up a trust. All right, right here, Ruby C. Lewis Living Trust. All right, let's make it bigger so everyone can see it. I know it's late, family, but I mean, it's going to take me a few more hours, but this is very important information. If you have to sleep, that's fine. Catch it in the archives. But this is going to be valuable information. All right. So my grandmother was smart. She set up the Ruby C. Lewis Living Trust. And you see there, June 8th, 2004. Right. So let's go a little bit through this instrument right here, because this is going to be very, very important. All right. Date and signed. Because what she did was she put not only her personal property, but she put her land holdings in the trust, right? So, my grandmother, she had a lot of property, of course, in Louisiana, and she actually sold that property in like the early '80s, and then she um, got properties there in Los Angeles, and two properties she put inside this trust. So you see here, she designate I, Ruben C. Lewis, designates Ruben C. Lewis, hereby designate a point. There's my name, so you know that's my grandmother, and I'm connected to her. I just showed and proved who I am. Andre Grissett, whose address, you didn't put that in there. Okay, so I'm connected. Let's go down here because I want to get to the part that's pertinent here to what I'm saying, right? Because the trust family, when my grandmother set this up, put her assets in the trust, then your assets are protected from creditors, protected from the state of California. But I'm going to share a little bit about this case because bar members try to, and this is the racket they have going on when it comes to land holdings of families, and this happens daily in probate courts. They don't care if it's a trust, because if it's a trust, they're still gonna try to take it and ignore that is part of a trust, so they can get custody, so they can claim interest in it and get paid. That's what's going on, and I'm going to show you this here. So my grandmother nominated my sister as the successor trustee of this trust. Okay, my sister Kimberly Owens. So when my grandmother died, my sister asked the successor trustee, basically inherited my grandmother's powers to act on behalf of the trust and to manage the assets inside said trust. Right? So let me get down here. Okay. Okay, right here. Okay, so of course, when you set up this trust, it's revocable, right? And it's always best to make sure it's revocable because you, as the grantor, you can also be the trustee. So here's that, my grandmother, of course, she's the trustee because she was still alive when she set it up, right? But now, as you know, when the grantor dies, the trust automatically converts to irrevocable. It becomes an irrevocable trust, right? But when you set it up as a revocable trust, it gives the grantor the right to amend the trust anytime they want while they're living. Okay, so let's get down here to this article here. Do death. All right, so here's the section of the beneficiaries, right, of the trust. All right, the trustee shall divide and distribute the net income and principal of the trust estate for the benefit of the settlers named beneficiaries as follows. All right, my cousin Charles, my auntie Rhonda, my mother Brenda, another cousin, my sister Kimberly Owens, and my other cousin, my uncle, my sister, and then my name here, and then my other cousin Darnell. Okay, so those are the beneficiaries. Now, after my grandmother died, family 2007. There's something that's called an inheritance entity, and it's an evil entity. It possesses family members, and family members go at each other, fighting, arguing all over their their mother's assets, and that's what happened with my mother and my auntie, and it got very, very ugly. I kind of stayed out of it until, and they actually, family, what they did, because they don't understand trust and they don't understand the law, what they did, they actually hired lawyers against each other, and then when the lawyers got involved, they're going to ignore the trust because they want to take it right to the state so the state can control it, and that's exactly what they did, right? And so it went to probate. Now, trust is a private instrument, and so it doesn't go to probate. It can't go to probate because it's a trust, right? But my family members, not knowing the law and the rules, hired lawyers to go at each other, and those lawyers took my grandmother's properties and tried to attempt to put it up under the state of California. and they took it to probate, right? So then I got involved in like 2016. And so the first thing I did when I got involved, it was to fire the lawyer that my mother hired and fire the lawyer that my auntie hired. Now, the lawyer that my mother hired, I sent him his walking papers, and he stood down. But the other lawyer, Larry Llewellyn, still stuck around, and we're going to get into a little bit about him as well. So you see that here, trustees. My grandmother's the trustee, and she resignated my sister Kimberly Owens as the first successor trustee, and then my cousin Darnell as the second successor trustee. So I wanted to let you know that Kimberly Owens was the successor trustee. So when I got involved in this case here, family, my sister doesn't know the law. She's ignorant of that. That's not her skill set. She can't handle her own affairs when it comes to legal matters. So I prepared all the legal documents. And yes, as many people believe, and yes, it was to a point where these dirty lawyers tried to put her in contempt of court, which the judge was on their side, and that did happen. But I saved my sister, and we're going to get into a little bit about it. So we see the trust there, family. So let's move to. I'm going to first show. I'm going to do a little bit of reverse engineering, right? Reverse engineering. I mentioned this to the family in my very first presentation about this particular judge. The judge in this case is Judge David Cohen. He's public information. Look him up. All these cases are published, family, public information. So this is the letter. Let's blow it up here from so you can see it. Let's make it bigger. All right. State of California Commission on Judicial Performance. Now, family, whenever you're faced with a dirty judge, now this particular judge, I actually sued him. And then what I did, I filed a complaint against him at the Commission on Judicial Performance. Every state has this. So when a judge during this official duties are breaching the canon, the judicial canons, then you can file a complaint and that judge can get disciplined. Now, of course, about 97% of the time they don't accept complaints. Most complaints that people file never get accepted, right? I guess because their argument is not good enough, right? So, but the complaint I wrote was accepted, and here's the letter. All right, March 28th, 2019. Of course, this was mailed to my sister Kimberly. She lives in Las Vegas. So, let me make it a little smaller so I can read it. Okay. All right. So I'm writing to inform you about the Commission's action following your letter of complaint received July 28, 2017. The Commission has considered the matter and taken an appropriate corrective action as to allegations 4, 9, 11, and 18 of your letter of complaint received in this office on July 28, 2017. Now, let's go to the complaint I wrote. So we can go to what, because they corrected him and disciplined him based upon item 4, 9, 11, 18, right? So, well, what's 4, 9, 11, 18? Here it is. Let's make it bigger. So this is the complaint I prepared. That's the case number there, family, the state of Ruben C. Lewis. So this is what I prepared, right? And let's go to the top. So there's my sister there. Petitioner, Kimberly Owens. Respondent, Judge David J. Cohen. Superior Court of County Los Angeles, Stanley Moss Courthouse. All right? So these are my published works. All right? And so this case here, actually I ended up selling those properties for around $1.2 million. Right? So these are what I call forging weapons of war on the legal battlefield, right, and getting remedy. So judicial complaint against Judge David J. Cohen. And let's go to item 4. So because the commission said that they considered they disciplined him on item 4, 9, 11, and 18. Well, let's go to item 4. Let's go to item 4 here. Okay, right here. Abuse of contempt power. Supporting facts. All right, March 29, 2017. There was a hearing on this day. According to the minute order, the nature of the proceeding was petition authority filed on December 21st, 2016 by Kimberly Owens. However, I never filed said petition on December 21st, 2016. I was not present during this hearing because I had to work. The minute order states that Mr. Llewellyn, that's that dirty lawyer, Roy Randall, she represented the Los Angeles. Oh, let me back up, family, because so my opponent in this legal issue was Mr. Larry Llewellyn. Now let's go to this guy. Yeah, this is important, family, because if you do hire a lawyer, if you do feel you want to make that choice, you got every right. But I advise you, the first thing, I'm going to give you some tools here. Okay, this is called Martindale Hubble. Right, so you go to Martindale Hubble, right? Martindale Hubble, and you got to do a background check on every lawyer you're considering hiring before you enter into a contract. It's an incumbent upon you to do a background check on that lawyer, right? So Martindale Hubble, there it is, free site. You can type in any lawyer's name, their information will pop up, okay? And this particular individual, Larry D. Llewellyn, it's the dirty lawyer that my auntie had hired. He would never go away, and he caused a lot of problems. Okay, so you see here this education. He went to Loyola Marymount. He was admitted 1989, 99, 2009, 2019. So he's been practicing law for 32 years, very experienced. But he fears me because I just basically destroyed him there in that action there, preventing him from harming my sister. My sister didn't go to jail, but they tried to do that. So now let's go. That's Martindale Hubble. Now, because he's licensed in the state of California, family, to do a deeper background check on lawyers, you have to go to the state bar. So in this case, it's California. So you go to like the California State Bar and you type in that lawyer's name, and then you'll get information on whether or not that lawyer had ever been disciplined. Okay. So look at this. Larry D. Llewellyn, that's his license number. It says license status. He's active. Okay. Here's his email. Remember, these are officers of the court, public officers. They are our servants. That's why their information is public. And you must do your due diligence and do a background check. Now look at this guy. All right. License status, disciplinary and administrative history. Okay. So as we see here, he was admitted to the State Bar of California, August 25th, 1989. Okay. So 1993, his license was suspended. Not eligible to practice law in California. So I'm sure if you have this evidence, family, you're not going to pay this guy. You're not going to pay him. His license was suspended. And then so it was back active again, right? And then on July 1st, 2004, he was disciplined, public reproval with duties. So this is not the guy you want to hire. Just because someone's a bar member doesn't mean that they're going to represent your interests to the fullest. So this is a tool, Martindale Hubble, right? You just put a lawyer's name and you get information, and then whatever state you're in, you go to that state bar's website and you put in that lawyer's number because you need to confirm whether or not that lawyer was disciplined, because a lot of these lawyers do a lot of shady stuff, right? So again, it's all about full disclosure, family. So if you do choose to go with a lawyer, I'm going to give you full disclosure and then give you the tools to first do background checks, because you're paying money. So, and that's not to play around with here, okay? So let me continue here with showing a little bit about my legal resume when it comes to handling my legal affairs. Okay, so we just saw that the Judicial Commission of California disciplined this judge, right? Because they tried to jail my sister, contempt of court, but it was a fraudulent contempt of court, and this is what I use, because contempt of court, family, although this was a probate land issue, whenever the court attempts to put you in contempt of court, then it turns to the criminal side, right? So it becomes a criminal matter. But if you're going to place my sister in contempt of court, when you know the rules, the person who's accusing my sister must make an affidavit, and in that affidavit they must state what rules, or why the individual, in this case my sister, why are you placing her in contempt of court? They have to swear under oath and lay out the facts. That never happened. And then once you do that, you have to serve the contempt order personally. She was never served that. So it was a clear violation of the contempt of court procedures. And that's what we got him on, and that's what happened, and he got disciplined. Okay? So, and he's a very notorious judge and screwed a lot of people. So that's just one deal. And of course, the issue here was me selling the properties and taking the properties out of the court's custody and selling those properties. And then that's why they tried to put her in contempt of court, right? So let me just show this so you'll know that the properties were sold, because this is what they're saying. Because one of the orders were to have her to return the funds, right? Let's go to item 9 or 11 here. Okay, here. So the court sets as an order to show cause hearing contempt of court regarding the sale of real property, right? And then the judge tried to hire a public defender for my sister. And then that didn't work out, so I fully protected my sister, because I can handle my affairs when it comes to legal matters. And this, many of you seen more details about this particular case on my private webinar in my class sessions. So we don't have to get into that. But I just wanted to show that when there was an issue of my sister trying to jail my sister, these dirty lawyers, it did not work out. It did not work out, right? So now I will go to another instance real quickly here, family, about another case where I'm published and my work's there. One of my clients, so I have to show and prove, right? All right, so we will start with this right here, family. Imagine you have a home, a property, right? And then in the state of New York, family, there's something called acreage, which is, homeowners can make an account and register with acreage. And what acreage does, it will notify you if there's a fraudulent change of title to your property. So this particular client, he registered with acreage, right? And he got this message on October 17, 2016, with the lot number of the property and date of recording, October 17, 2016. Okay, dear registered party, as you may recall, you registered to receive notification when a document has been recorded against the above lot. Recently, the documents described below was recorded at the New York City Department of Finance Division. Okay, so he gets this here notification of deed fraud, that someone fraudulently took the title and put it in their own name, right? So imagine you receive this, family. What are you going to do? Yeah, you can call that board member, right? But when you unravel this case, it was a board member to help this person do the deed, the fraudulent deed transfer. And now this client, it was actually his adopted sister who did the fraudulent deed transfer. Now this property was also in a trust. But again, these dirty lawyers, they can ignore the trust, and the adopted sister fraudulently transferred title to herself. She took it to probate with the help of dirty lawyers. The judge didn't do anything. So, I helped him out, and this case was filed. So I want first you get a notification that your title will change. That's going to freak any homeowner out, right? So then, let me share this with you, because I filed in the Eastern District Court of New York, and we sued the adopted sister and her dirty lawyer, right? So let's go to these opponents, because we can't get mesmerized by bar members, family. Okay, so some of us are competent. Um, now let's go over some of the opponents. All right, this is the adopted sister's lawyer here. This who represents my client's adopted sister, Max D. Leifer. Oh, this is the Super Lawyer magazine, family. He's a super lawyer, right? So he was nominated super lawyer. Attorney profile. He's an attorney in New York with over 45 years of legal experience representing clients throughout New York metropolitan area. Oh, wow. So if you're not a licensed bar member, how dare you try to go up against a super lawyer with 45 years of experience? You have to be out of your mind, because you look like me and I don't have confidence and I'm not competent, so you can't be competent. Again, family, we have to break the sorcery. That's one opponent. Now, here's the lawyer that we're suing, the defendant, his law firm, Albert Maimoni and Associates, and this lawyer, Peter Vito Maimoni. He's the other defendant. Let's look at his little bio here. He became a lawyer in New York in 2010. Okay, his license was updated, so his license is active. But 2010, so he is an experienced lawyer for 11 years, right? And then of course his area is real estate, trust in the states. Let's look at his practice area. We see here is about Peter's practice area. Landlord, tenant, 25%, probate, 25%, personal injury, 25%, estate planning, 15%, Chapter 7 bankruptcy, 10%. A licensed, experienced lawyer, right? But as a real American, you are assumed to know the law. So I can handle my affairs, grandmaster level. So these are my opponents. Not only that, sometimes, family, when you're in a case, you'll get a dirty judge who's also against you. And this particular judge is Eastern District Court of New York Judge Ann Donnelly, okay? Nominated by Barack Obama, January 7th, 2015, a Barack Obama nominee. All right? Dirty as they come. So what did she do against my client? Well, she issued this particular order. So first, the defendants filed a motion to dismiss the case. Right, this is her order, and she granted the motion to dismiss. She granted the defendant's motion to dismiss. Right, and so my client gets this order, and their argument, of course, was very, very weak. But basically, this judge never looked at any of the filings for my client, just ignored everything, and just went with the against my client there. Right. So this order, she granted the defendant's motion to dismiss, And so then I filed what's called a motion for reconsideration. I'm like, okay, judge, well, you should reconsider that, and because your ruling is you're in error. And she denied that. So here's that particular order, right? But she looked here. Because the plaintiff does not allege that I overlooked any facts or controlling decision that may have reasonably led to a different result, reconsideration on this ground is denied. Accordingly, the plaintiff's motion for reconsideration is denied. So, two orders from this federal district judge appointed by Barack Obama dismissed my client's case, family. Wow. But like I told my client right from the beginning, because I knew she was dirty from the beginning. Don't worry, this is not home field for us. So I actually told him she's going to dismiss it, but we're gonna get a friendly venue at the Second Circuit Appellate Court. So appellate law is a whole different area. I know this is hard to believe, family, because we don't have confidence in ourselves and people who look like us. Only, esteemed bar members who went to school and got good grades, right? Okay, well, so we go to the Second Circuit, right? And we have what's called oral arguments. Now, the defendants were dirty from the beginning. And the defendant didn't even show up to have oral arguments, family, because in the Second Circuit, there's no dirty judges that's going to agree with them. So they're never going to be accountable for their dirty deeds. They didn't show up for oral arguments. It was a one-sided oral argument. And here on the Second Circuit website, Second Circuit website, go to that Second Circuit website. Second Circuit. All right, well, let's just do this. It has to be. All right, here it is here, family. Go to the top. So on the Second Circuit, United States Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit, that covers eastern part of New York, right? So on the website, family, in the oral, we have what's called oral arguments. October 29th, 2020, last year, oral arguments, okay? Usually when you go to the appellate court, both sides, the plaintiff and the defendant sides, can choose to have oral arguments to present their claim. Defendants didn't show up, just my client. And, of course, I prepare my clients. They don't go in. I prepare them with these weapons of war. You put on the armor I forged for you. You hold the weapons in your arm. You don't need to know the law. So I'm such a master that I can take someone who's totally ignorant, forge these weapons. They walk in there, they're indestructible. All right, but let me back that up with evidence. Because you make a statement, you have to show and prove, right? So you go to the website, public information. As an American, all these cases are public information that anyone can pop in and look at. So you go to the website, they have a section called oral arguments. You click on that, it'll have the years, and I'll go right down here. Here's the case, Peltzer versus Peltzer. Now, I prepared the script, but before I let you listen to this, let's go to the script I prepared for my client. And he follows instructions. He read the script verbatim, right? You follow the instructions, you will be successful. Let's see here. So let's go to this here. So here, go to the email. All right, right here, okay? All right, Jim Peltzer. This is my email. Jim Peltzer. The case is Peltzer versus Peltzer. You see that there? Updated script right there. October 29th, 2020. Here's this updated script, tonight's script. Click on it. Click on this here, right? So let me blow it up. There. So this is what I sent him. This is what I prepared for him. Make sure he go in there as Thanos, chopping off heads. Okay, oral arguments. And this is all he had. His only job is to read the damn script. And it's exactly what he did. So you see that? Good morning, Your Honors. The Fifth Circuit, this is case law I have for him, Curtis versus Brunstein. The Marshall case, that's a very popular case when it comes to probate matters. All this here, right? But I advised him that sometimes the judge will take you off script. You got it, and I was there to support him, and gave him what he needed to do. And the judge actually did take him off script, family, but he followed instructions. He was successful, and so now, so this is the script I prepared for him: list of assets, all of this here, and he just read this during oral arguments. So now let's go back to the website. Let's go back to the Second Circuit website here, and then you go, like I said, oral argument section. You click on that. They'll have all the oral arguments for all the public to see and listen to. So here it is, Peltzer versus Peltzer, October 29th, 2020. 7 minutes.
Peltzar v. Peltzar. Good afternoon, Your Honors. May it please the Court, I'm James Peltzar, pro se. On September 9th, 2019, the District Court granted the defendant's motion to dismiss based on the probate exception with leave to amend, and on September 20th, 2019, I filed the Rule 60 motion. On January 24th, 2020, the District Court denied my Rule 60 motion on the ground that I failed to allege that Judge Ann Donnelly overlooked any facts and case law. The Fifth Circuit in Curtis versus Brunstein gives the Marshall two-step inquiry to determine whether the probate exception deprives a federal court of jurisdiction. Step one is whether the property in dispute is estate property within the custody of the probate court, and step two is if the plaintiff's claims would require the federal court to assume jurisdiction of that property. If the answer is yes to both, then probate exception applies. Please let's look at step one of the Marshall inquiry. The IRS Department of Treasury Estate and Gift Taxes Title 26 states as to any property or part thereof or interest therein of which the donor has so part of the dominion and control as to leave him no power to change its disposition, whether for his benefit or the benefit of another, the gift is incomplete, unquote. Please look, it's complete. Please look at three fundamental pieces of evidence, Your Honors: the petition for probate, the list of assets inventory, and the executor's deed. The petition for probate falsely lists my Whitestone property as part of my father's testamentary gross estate.
Excuse me, Professor. Are you saying that the problem is that it was wrongfully the house was wrongfully taken into custody by the probate court?
It was never in custody of the probate court, Your Honor.
But it was listed as one of the assets of the estate, right? And I think there was some argument at the time that it shouldn't be, and the probate court said, let's worry about that in a later proceeding. That never happened.
Well, that's part of
So maybe the state court should not have assumed custody and control, but wasn't everything that was done with the house done under the auspices of the probate court?
No, sir. No, sir. The estate was not. This is part of the shady and deceptive filings, because at the time, it's fraudulent misrepresentation, because at the time, he didn't know it. So the New York State considered me the owner based on tax rolls, assessment rolls, and the other evidence I provided in my judicial notice. And also on,
distinction, Mr. Peltzar, in this case between the request that the house be conveyed to you and a lawsuit in personam against the lawyers and others who may have participated in what you say is a fraud?
Yes, Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor. And I would like to quote Mr. Mimone's omission, and that is, quote, specific issue of whether the Whitestone property is an asset of the probate estate was never before the Surrogates Court of Queens County. I continue, Your Honor? Sure, thank you. Sorry, you answered the question. Thank you. So just to recap a little bit, please. The petition for probate falsely lists my Whitestone property at my father's testamentary gross estate at cash value of about $700,000, was sworn to as truth under oath, signed by Doreen and notarized by Mr. Maimoni. The list of assets inventory falsely lists my Whitestone property as a probate asset in the form of cash valued at $669,000 and lists non-probate assets as $231,000, both certified to be true by Doreen Pelcher on April 6, 2016. Mr. Maimoni also added his name, law firm, address, and phone number on that document. And I've asked the court to please reference District Court Document 1, Exhibit E. Moving on, Your Honors, the executor's deed falsely lists my father's estate as party of the first part and as the seller of my Whitestone property. Doreen is listed as the buyer and the seller of my Whitestone property. Doreen attested to its truthfulness with her current attorney, Mr. Leifer, as notary. When we juxtapose the petition for probate, the list of assets inventory, and the executor's deed with Mr. Maimoni's April 29 statement, quote, the specific issue of whether the Whitestone property is an asset of the probate estate was never before the Surrogates Court of Queens County. That juxtaposition fails to pass the threshold of Marshall's first step. And I'd like to draw the court's attention to District Court Document 21, page 1, and Circuit Document 51, page 15. Juxtaposing all three sets of that evidence with the deed fraud alert notification I received from the New York City Department of Finance, my judicial notices showing the proper probate proceedings and showing the proper probate proceedings as followed in the Lavalvo case, which include orders, final accounting, affirmation, legal services. Both of my claims, the Article 15 claim and the fraudulent misrepresentation claim, make it impossible to affirm Marshall's first step. And for the court's notice, please, the deed fraud alert notification is Exhibit F of District Court Document 1.
Well, you're over time, and I think we understand the probate argument. I just had one question, just to follow up on Judge Lynch. You are also pursuing a damages claim against the defendants for fraud, right?
Yes.
Well, I thank you for your argument. I think we understand it, and we will look back at the briefs, and we have your briefing. So thank you for coming.
Excellent argument.
Sincere best wishes to you and your loved ones as we go forward.
Okay, family. So there we go. Let's turn that off there. So there we go. Okay, excellent argument, Judge Parker said. All right. So we're all not incompetent. I don't send people in there to get in trouble. Now, that's the Second Circuit, family, right? So how did they rule? Remember, the Judge Ann Donnelly issued two orders. First, dismissing the case, granting the defendant's motion to dismiss, and denying the motion for reconsideration that we appealed, right? So how did the Second Circuit rule on that? The great Ann Donnelly, nominated by President Barack Obama, right? So let's actually go to that order real quick so you can see that order. You can see that order there, family. Okay, 2021 Circuit mandate. All right, here's the order. Here's the mandate, okay? Here's the mandate. Case number, Peltzer versus Peltzer, right? Make it a little bigger there, right? Peltzer versus Peltzer. And then the chief judge, you heard her voice, family, on the oral argument, the female, Deborah Ann Livingston. She's the chief judge of the Second Circuit Court. And then these experienced judges Judge Parker and Lynch. Lynch was the one who tried to jostle with my client, but he was successful. What did Lynch say? He answered the question. And that's what they do. They will test you. They're going to fence, do a little fencing with you. You kind of take you off script to make sure you're competent. But I had him in there. He was, we had technology set up to where I can hear him and communicate with him. But they couldn't hear me. So he passed that test from Lynch. And what did Judge Parker say at the end? Excellent argument. And you just read, I had the script I prepared. You saw he was reading right line from line. Excellent argument from Judge Parker. Okay, so and then let's get to the meat of the mandate. All right. Okay, so upon due consideration, is hereby ordered a judge and decreed that the orders of the district court are affirmed in part, vacated in part. That's the key. And remanded. That means the Second Circuit, kicked it right back to that Eastern District Court for further proceedings, which right now it's ending, and then we're basically in settlement negotiations now. But let me get to the part where they dismissed both of the judges' orders. Now, of course, we get into details with my filings as far as my briefs and my Second Circuit appellate briefs and all that. Those are for private matters there, getting involved. But let's just get into this here real quick. So here, accordingly, Peltzer's damages claim is not within the scope of the probate exception, and the district court erred in dismissing it on that basis. The district court made a mistake. Okay, so yes, sometimes you get a dirty judge, right? They're not gonna even read your filings. They're not gonna listen to you. But don't fret. You get more friendly venue at the appellate level, right? So this is because she dismissed the case. The first order was dismissing it based upon lack of subject matter jurisdiction because of the probate exception. And as you see here, although she didn't want to listen, I told her she was wrong. She didn't want to listen. She had that right as her courtroom. She's dirty. But the Second Circuit, 3-panel judges, all 3 panels ruled 3-0, and they kicked it back. But her deal about probate exception, her legal understanding of it was incorrect. Now, motion for reconsideration, because remember, she issued 2 orders. I wrote the motion for reconsideration. She dismissed that. So let's get down to what the Second Circuit said about that. Here, the district court erred in denying reconsideration of its dismissal of Peltzer's claim for damages, because as discussed above, the decision rested on an error of law, which is what I clearly laid out in my briefs. So the mighty Ann Donnelly, both of her orders got vacated by someone who looks like the family. I know it's difficult to believe. I know that. But many of us have skilled talents, family. So just wanted to show and prove that. So now we're just going to close out because I want to get into patented land of certain individuals. Now, family, we covered the American Aboriginal side. right? But we've neglected and ignored a whole nother segment. You have to understand, family, the empire was global. Okay? It was global. One global empire up under the American jurisdiction. We should remember, I'm not going to get into the history part of this now. I'll do that in the future, the next build, to make it clear about what I'm going to present. I'm going to present just two individuals, but I came up with the term American returnees, right? American returnees. So yes, many of us are not fully American Aboriginals, or based upon the colonial term, the Indians that's in the colonial documents. Many of us are not that. So it's our duty, once you do your genealogy and you confirm where your ancestors were they one of those American returnees, right? Because remember, thousands of years ago, we set colonies all over the world. And one particular important colony was in the British Isles to control the tin mines. Hence, you get words tinklers or tinkers, tinsmiths, right? And another reason we had to set up colonies around the Pillars of Hercules was to prevent unwanted people from coming and to America. So there were colonies set up there and other places, family. And then stuff occurred, and then they returned back 1,500 years later, which is, we're talking 500-600 years ago, right? So, but we're not going to get too much into the history part of that. I'll do that next time. But I dub these individuals and these type of ancestors as American returnees. And so many of on my maternal line, those are American returnees. I showed you the Presley family with the Witherspoon family. And again, I told you my ancestor, when he was living in Darlington, he was worshiping at the Welsh Baptist Church. Okay. When he was young, and then he established his own Baptist churches in Louisiana. So, but you cannot, and many of those American returnees were granted patented land, right? So it's your duty to confirm that and to claim that patented land. So I'm going to focus on this one particular family in South Carolina, the Gaylord family. Now, remember, I did the build earlier this year, family, and I featured the Solagari community in South Carolina. But I didn't get into the details about who these individuals were. But I will point out this one particular family, the Gaylord family here, right? So I'm not going to run the entire documentary. I'm just going to run it to a point just to show this Gaylord individual. Fair use for educational purposes.
It's not open right now, but this is where the 54th Regiment came on Solagari Island. This is where they stayed overnight. They had camp here, and this is where they stayed before they moved on. But they started here from the water. They came up from the water, and I think they end up on John's Island.
Okay, I'm going to stop it right there, family. We got some very important individuals right here. Okay, so at the left side, we see Shirley Gaylord Carter. Okay, and then Carolyn Wilder Gordine. So the lady on the left, that's Shirley Gaylord. Okay, you won't pick her out in the crowd. Hell, from a distance, you don't know if it's a man or a female. You'll never see her coming. She stays in the background, unassuming, not loud, not showing any of her wealth off. You may be looking at her, you may think she's homeless. But you'll never know she's the queen of the universe. She's a Gaylord, family. Who are the Gaylords? Well, I did the genealogy. Now, honors this. So Shirley Gaylord, okay, Solagari Gaylord family. So I'm going to kind of feature this Gaylord line because this Gaylord is what I dub an American returnee, okay. And this Gaylord has patented land that she is an heir of. And as I remember, family, when I did this build originally, these families on this Solagari Island still control their land, right? They still control it. And there's been, as you know, other parts of South Carolina, Diamond Head Beach, I believe it's called there, and many of those people there are losing their lands to developers, and because the heirs property legal device they use, as I stated before, is to get 20% to sell and auction off the 80%. And these people are losing their lands daily. It's a tragedy, right? But this particular family, they still have theirs. So now let's get into her genealogy, and I'm going to show the Gaylord who was issued the land grants, patented land here in this part of South Carolina. But first, I want to give shout outs and honors to A1 there, of course, because he brought forward a very important document, the Negro owners of slaves in 1830, okay, by the esteemed Carter G. Woodson. Now, Carter G. Woodson, this is one of his most important works. But you notice the Afrocentrics never told us about this particular work from Carter G. Woodson, and there's a reason why. Because it exposes their fictitious narrative, right, of the slave story crap. Now, I want you to focus on this particular name. This is 1830, family, right? South Carolina. All right? So you just saw Shirley Gaylord. This is her ancestor here, Theodore Gaylord. Okay? Theodore Gaylord. Every individual in this name here in this book, family, and Carter G. Woodson went through every state. These are landlords with vast estates. All right. So Theodore Gaylord. All right. 1830. So I did the genealogy on the Gaylord family and went back 1,000 years to the year 1105. All right. So they came out of the Iberian Peninsula, and then were through being banished for their political positions. They went up to other parts of Europe, and in the Gaylord case, as you know, if you ever been to Iberian Peninsula, or what they call Spain today, when you go up north, you're basically in what they call southern Normandy or southern France, right? And that's where the Gaylords were forced to go into those particular areas. And then, but this Theodore Gaylord said, we know that they're melanated because here he's highlighted in Carter G. Woodson's book, 1830, right? And then, if we get through the history of these American returnees coming out of the Iberian Peninsula and through other parts of Europe, we also know that they were also melanated, right? And I also give honors and shout outs to, Curimeo covers a lot of that stuff. He did a lot of work in that area. Great work that can help a lot of individuals who have similar ancestors. But my job is to take it to a level to help people not only find your ancestors, but those who have land holdings, especially patented land holdings, that you can claim that, right? And this is what it's all about. So let's get into a little bit about the Gaylord story. I will start here. So here, let's see. I want to get into first the earlier Gaylord. So that's Theodore Gaylord, but I want to get into the earlier Gaylords. So let's do this. Let's go here. Okay, Joaquin Gaylord. All right. All right. So this is a little bit about their story here, family. Let me blow it up. Hope you can see that. A little bigger. Make it a little smaller. So the well-documented case of Carolina Gaylord family represents another informative illustration of obstacles inherent to leaving the kingdom and how refugees surmounted them. Originally from Montpellier, Joachim Gaylord, a well-off and well-connected merchant living in Annonay-Vivarais at the time of the revocation. Early in October 1685, he decided to let his house for a period of 3 years for 100 livres a year to remove his family into the home of one of his wife's cousin. At about that time, Joachim, Esther, and their 2 sons, Bartholomew and John, who had just completed their apprenticeships, respectively, as an apothecary and a clothier, crossed the Rhine River in an attempt to escape Switzerland. Right, so they were in this escape route, and they managed to survive, family, and then they came over. Let's get to this information here. Let's see here, because he was issued grants of land, Joachim Gaylord, right? So he went into Geneva, December 1686. The Gaylord estate in Annonay, valued at 3,000 livres, was seized. But the estate family, Joachim, Esther, Bartholomew, John, and Pierre, was then safely in Switzerland. They reached England by way of Frankfurt and the Netherlands. In October 1687 in London, Joachim purchased 600 acres of Carolina land, and he arrived in Charlestown that same year. Okay, the Gaylords, however, were not ready to abandon their estate with the one in France, and in 1692, Bartholomew went back to France using a certificate of conversion, which he had signed in 1686. He received his parents' property and sold it before returning to South Carolina. So one of the sons managed to reclaim back the estate and lands back in Europe, and managed to sell that. And that was a noble, honorable thing he did for his dead parents at the time, right? So let's get into their land holdings here, family. Right here. Now let's get into this. Now this is Bartholomew Gaylord. Now we just saw in the this book, Carter G. Woodson, Theodore Gaylord. This is his father. His father is Bartholomew. Okay. This is his father. Now look at the land granted, patented land grants he received here. Barth, short for Bartholomew Gaylord, 300 acres, Craven County, and that's February 4th, 1714. Right? He got 400 acres the same day. April 14th, 1710, he got 500 acres. January 13th, 160 acres, 1711. Same day, another 500 acres. 10 days later, 150 acres. Same day, another 100 acres. February 4th, 300 acres, 1714. June 29th, 1717, 500 acres. Right? July 18th, 1711, 300 acres. You just saw Shirley Gaylord. She's the heir apparent to this Gaylord national treasure. I did the math. It's around 2,500 acres, family. And just to put this in perspective, a 5,000 square foot home, most would consider a nice size. Correct, family? 5,000 square feet. You may have five bedrooms, 4.5 baths, huge kitchen, right? 5,000 square feet. 1 acre, family, is 43,000 square feet. 1 acre. 43,000 square feet. The total acreage of the Gaylord during this time is around 2,500 acres. So you do the math on that, 2,500 times 43,000, right? 43,000 acres is 1 acre, right? 43,000 times 2,500. Family. It's 107,500,000 square feet. Okay? But it doesn't stop here, family. Because again, as one who can handle his affairs when it comes to legal matters, what does the law state about these land grants in the state of California, South Carolina? Many of us have ancestors from South Carolina. Well, let's get into the law. Let me share this with you, family. Let me share this with you here. South Carolina law here that you can all pull up here. Let's see. Okay, here. Okay, South Carolina Code of Laws, Title 27, Property and Conveyances, Chapter 11, Confirmation of Titles. I know you can't see that, but don't fret because I actually took a screenshot of it. Let's see. I took a screenshot of that. Where is that? So I can blow it up so everyone can see the important deal. And these are the laws you're going to use when you're claiming patented land family. So let's see here. I'm going to get to my email. So you need to see this close up. Here it is here, family. Here it is here. South Carolina laws. Boom. Now let me make it bigger. So this Title 27, Property and Conveyance, Chapter 11, Confirmation of Titles. It talks about granted land and non-granted land. Section 27-11, 10. State not precluded, which means not prevented, as to escheated lands by grants and the like. So this is basically saying, family, that the state of South Carolina can still escheat patented land. And escheating, family, means that when the landlord dies and there are no heirs, so then the state comes in and will make a claim on it. Escheat. So basically, abandoned lands. Many of our ancestors have lost land through the escheat device. That legal device, escheating, right? So this saying that the state of South Carolina is not precluded as to escheated lands by grants and the like. Now, but let's continue reading. The state shall not be precluded by possession, grant, conveyance, or any other cause or title from making inquest and sale of all such lands as have heretofore escheated to the state by the death of the person last seized thereof. Any law, custom, or usage to the contrary notwithstanding. But no lands claimed under grant or under an actual possession for 5 years prior to July 4th, 1776 shall be affected by this section. Let me break it down so a 5-year-old can understand what we just read. So basically, although the state of South Carolina, can escheat patented land when that landlord dies without heirs, as long as it's after July 4th, 1776. All patented land 5 years before July 4th, 1776. So that makes it 1771, family. Any land grants in South Carolina before July 4th, 1771, the state of South Carolina has no jurisdiction to take it. They can't touch it. I just showed you the Gaylord land holdings, and those dates were 1711 1714, 1717, etc. So now, of course, fortunately for the Shirley Gaylord, she still in possession of her ancestral national treasure. But she's the exception, right? Think of all the other families in South Carolina who don't know this law, who don't know their genealogy. They're not aware that their ancestors own the land. And if it's pre 1771, it's forever. But their ignorance, because they're in darkness, they'll never know. And then the state and other entities will control and make finance off of their ancestral estates. Now, in closing, we're going to go to one more individual family. We're going to take it all the way to the West Coast. We're going to move from South Carolina. We're going to go to California. Okay? This is an individual that they kept from us. We never knew about this particular individual. But again, he's also these descendants who are living today. This ancestor is what I call an American returnee, right? And we will pull him up. His name family is William Alexander Leedersdorf. He's actually a descendant of what you would call Dutch pirates, actually. But you know, we are many, you know, the family, especially this family listening, you know who the Dutch were, who those pirates were, that they were melanated. So we're not, at least this audience, we're not on the slow bus here. We're not on the sorcery. You know, we understand that. But again, I will cover the historical aspect in my next build. I just want to feature these land holdings. But this is a tragic story because the heirs to Leedersdorf estate got screwed by lawyers in the state of California. Okay. All right. Let's get into this. I have his real photo actually as well. Now, let me first explain when we talk about patented land grants, land patents family. So pre-United States federal land grants, you have land grants issued under the colonial jurisdiction of Britain, right? Now, we also have land grants issued under what's called the Spanish-Mexican land grants. Okay, so states like Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, California, that was part of Mexico, right? And California was the last stronghold that was still under, the Spanish jurisdiction until the American-Mexican War, and then there was the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, right? And that treaty still allowed that those land patents issued up under the Spanish jurisdiction were still valid, okay, to this day, right? That particular treaty. Now, our man, William Alexander Leedersdorf, was issued a Spanish land grant for 35,000 acres, family. It's present-day Sacramento, California. Now, let's get into a little bit about this here. Rancho Rio de los Americanos was a 35,521 acre Mexican land grant in present-day Sacramento County, California, given in 1844 by Governor Manuel Micheltoreno to William Leedersdorf. Okay, now Leedersdorf also had dual citizenship. He became a Mexican citizen as well, right? And as well as, of course, being an American. The land grant takes its name from Rio de los Americanos, the name of the American river during the Mexican rule era. The grant originally consisted of 8 square leagues, etc. But let's get to this part here, family, right? But this individual was esteemed here. Let's get into a little bit about his story. But first, we'll talk about the tragedy. For those, I'm from Los Angeles, California. I'm sure many in California are familiar with Folsom Prison. So it was Captain Joseph Libby Folsom. Okay, he was the one who screwed Leadersdorf family from inheriting and the land there. So anyway, the story is that Anna Spark, that's his mother, right? She's from the islands, and when you look up her on the census record genealogy, she was listed as actually a Carib Indian. Okay, and Alexander's father was again the descendants of Danish pirates, and they originally came out of the Iberian Peninsula, right? And those pirates had control over the lot of the islands, right? And then Alexander's father had made his money in sugar there in what was called Danish West Indies, today Virgin Islands, right? So, but his mother, Leadersdorf, died at age 38, very young. So he had no family, no children. He died interstate, leaving, and he was he was one of the founders of San Francisco as well, family. So he had land holdings. Not only did he own present day Sacramento, but he also had land holdings in Sacramento, in the area of present day Silicon Valley. That was Leadersdorf's land, a lot of that area. So Joseph Libby Folsom, during this time, we're talking about when the Mexican-American War, when the American won that war, it was chaos in California. I mean, you had the gold rush. The legal system was in tatters. It was like a free-for-all. So Folsom, they knew, and of course, Leadersdorf was famous in the area, in the community. And these thieves were trying to figure out a way to take over his land holdings, right? So Folsom went to St. Croix, right? He went to St. Croix, met with Leadersdorf's mother, Anna Marie Spark, and then he went to her and said, "I tell you what, I'd like to help manage your son's estate. I can give you $75,000, and with a $5,000 down payment." And then I'll pay the remainder in 2 installments. So the mother said, okay. She wasn't really abreast on what was going on, but then she kind of found out the true value of her son's estate, and then she refused Folsom's offer, right? So then Folsom hired the law firm of Halleck, Peachy, and Billings to force the mother to accept final payments. And then the case went to the California State Court. The mother hired kind of like a Dutch lawyer in the case, and he didn't know what the hell he was doing. And the California State ruled and said, no, you're not even a United States citizen, so you can't claim it. I mean, that's sorcery. Of course, they lied to her. Of course, she can claim it. And then it went all the way to the California State Supreme Court. When the California State Supreme Court ruled that the mother can inherit her son's land patent, but because the court sided with Folsom, but because she made a contract with Folsom, the court said the title will go to Folsom, which is impossible because when you know the law, family, when it comes to land grants and patented lands, when you read the instrument, it says to have and to hold to heirs and assigns forever. And such inheritance can never be bought, sold, or transferred. But these so-called lawyers didn't tell the mother that, and they got screwed. And then they discovered during the gold rush in that area, there was gold all on Leadersdorf's land, family. And then, of course, Folsom, he died, and then others took it over. And a tragic story. And I will first get into now. Think about that, family. 35,000 acres, all of Sacramento. He founded parts of San Francisco, present-day Silicon Valley. if the heirs were able to benefit off that their own ancestral estate, where they would be now. That's the tragedy. And this is a tragic story when it comes to this brother, Alexander Leitersdorf, and how the family got screwed by bar members in the state of California, just ripped them off. And speaking, I want the families to understand this here now, right? Because I have the listings of all the Spanish land grants issued in the state of California. And let's see here. Okay, so this is a work, grants of land in California made by Spanish or Mexican authorities, okay? And this is by the State Lands Commission, this document. And again, as always, family, you reach out to me if you want any copies of these, anything I present, the evidence. Is also good to know that and have these copies because land issued in California was before the Mexican-American War was issued under the Spanish-Mexican jurisdiction because all that was still part of Mexico. And we go down to page 94, right? And this was let's go down to page 94 in this document. Right here. So this is the listing here. As you see here, grants of land in Sacramento County made by Spanish or Mexican authorities. So this is what Leitersdorf owned. This was his land. The entire Sacramento, 35,000 acres, 35,000 plus acres, okay? But when you look down here, these are the names of the patentees who received the patent, right? And let's look at this, family. It's a tragedy. What we just read, Rio dos de los Americanos, and whose name on here as the patentee? Not Leitersdorf, Folsom. Patent date 10/28/1864. But remember, family, there's always a remedy. If there are any Leitersdorf's heirs living today, they can actually now go back and get their land back by applying proper law, right? Because they took it, and when the mother discovered that Folsom was lying to her about the value of her son's patented land, she said, no, I'm not selling. But because she couldn't really speak the English language that well, and when America took it over from Mexico, the legal system was corrupted. It was a free-for-all, and they just took it. But they can actually go back and lay a viable claim based upon the patent and those rules of being heirs and get it back. We're the bar members that are trying to help this family. I know they're originally, they're from St. Croix, but I don't know where, if they're still there, but they can actually still get their land back. Right? And now I want to close here. I want to briefly touch the Bruce family and make it clear for the family about the Bruce family here, okay? Charles Aaron Bruce and his wife Willa Bruce. Beautiful family. Charles is originally from the District of Columbia, and Willa is from Missouri. And Charles Aaron Bruce, this is his middle name, family, Aaron. So his father was named Aaron Bruce, right? And this is the 1850 census, District of Columbia. So I did a little bit of research on the Bruce family. Now, remember, family, when I did my very first presentation last year, I mentioned the Bruce family in my presentation. And at that time, many have never heard of the Bruce family. But it was always an interest of mine about that particular family because I'm from Los Angeles, right? And so you see here, 1850 census. His father, Aaron Bruce, free inhabitants, by the way. Okay, free inhabitants. His father in 1850. Now, Charles Aaron Bruce, the husband of Willa Bruce, who owned the Bruce Beach Resort, he was born in 1860. So he wasn't born at this time, right? But this is his father here. And we go down to Aaron Bruce's family. Right here. Okay. Aaron Bruce here. He was 21 years old at the time, right? And let's just move on here. And this will be now this is the 1870 census. And this is when Charles Aaron Bruce was just a 10-year-old boy. And again, he's from the District of Columbia, right? You know, a very good family who had a lot of aspirations, and they accomplished many incredible things. There's the father, Aaron Bruce, and there's his son. There's, you know, call him Aaron. That was his middle name, but that's him there. And this is his father. And then let's kind of check their situation. Charles and Willa Bruce. This is Charles and his wife Willa in 1900. This was before they acquired the two parcels. Now, the Charles and the Willa Bruce property was not a land grant. It was not that. Okay, they didn't have patented land there. It's not heirs property because they did not have any of those Spanish land grants that were issued during that time, right? They purchased two parcels in the year 1912 for $1,150. Now you got to remember, family, during that time it was still a allodial title. It was before the feds came in and set up the mortgage system, where you get these deeds and you're basically have no real ownership interest and you're just buying. This is way before that. This is 1912, so people were still getting buying parcels with very strong ownership interest. So in 1900, this is before they purchased the beach property, and we can see their situation here. And, okay, so you see here Charles A. Bruce, and his wife Willie A. Bruce, wife. And again, he's born 1860. The wife's born 1862, right? He's from District of Columbia. The wife's from Missouri. And now he was a cook working. Now I got their address. They were actually living on the east side at this time, right around the San Pedro, the business district near downtown LA at this particular time. And then we go to the 1920 census. This is when they were actually running their resort, right? Let's blow it up bigger. You see, it's all about doing research, family. I'm not gonna, it's evidence. Make statements, show evidence. Back your statements up. Know what you're dealing with. So we get here. Let's find them here. Okay, here, right there. So you see that Charles A. Bruce and his wife Willa. And at this time, they were running their own business, and of course, running the resort. He was listed as a chef running that resort, right? And again in 1930. Here, we'll see where they're located here. Their situation in 1930. Charles A. Bruce, his wife, it says so here now. So we see here is $7,500, right? At the time was the value of his home. So he was a home owner. There's a clear listed O for owner, $7,500 value for his home there. So that's their situation, and it was a tragic thing that what happened to them. And they're listed as a chef, so they're still, running their business there as a chef there, and he's a homeowner. But what happened to them was a tragedy, family. Now let's get to the recent events of how California is trying to make amends with the Bruce family, right? Because they got to remember, last month, Governor Newsom, he signed the bill, right? He signed the bill. What's called so it says here, the land initially sold to the Bruces for $1,225, now valued at around $75 million. So the value of their beach, of those two parcels, is $75 million. But so what Governor Newsom did, he signed the bill, the Senate Bill 796. Oh, there it is. You can look it up. Senate Bill 796. The beachfront property must be returned to the Bruce descendants. So they just returned the property. And so currently, the descendants are thinking about, as it says here, LA County has released a proposal with options for that transfer, including a plan that lets the Bruce family lease their land back to LA County, which would make the government have to pay them rent. So that's what they're considering. The family now is to rent it back out to LA County. But now they never got damages, family, and so they're considering a route to get compensated for the lost generational wealth that they lost, right, for those nearly 100 years. And so that's a whole legal process. And I don't know of any lawyers representing them in a legal action. This was not a legal action. This was, initiated by Kenneth Hahn's daughter, part of the LA Board of Supervisors, Mrs. Hahn, who spearheaded this movement, and the bill passed in the California legislation to return the property back. So then Governor Newsom signed the bill, Senate Bill 796, returning the property back to the Bruce descendants. But they never got any monetary damages. So they're trying to seek an avenue to get that, right? So I just wanted to make it clear and that we understand what's really going on with the Bruce family by presenting evidence that anyone can kind of research up their family. So, thanks for, spending your late evening, and sorry to go for so long, but I just wanted to just make things clear. Also, just let the family know that yes, there are many of us with special skills. That I know for many they find it difficult to believe, but I showed and proved that. And so, thanks for your time, and hopefully I add some value. And I know this legal jargon is difficult to bear with, but just be patient with me. And the more you're exposed to this, it becomes very, very familiar to you there. So thanks a lot, and wish you guys a good night. It is almost 2:30 p.m. Tuesday afternoon in Japan, so my day is just now beginning. I have to do some things, but I appreciate those who took time to listen. I'm honored and humbled by that, and have a good night. And I look forward to building again, which will be soon, maybe in a couple of days as well. A1, are you sleeping, or are you still around? I guess he's sleeping there, family. So I guess he'll turn off this live later. But again, I'm going to close out and give honors again to A1. Give honors to all those in the chat who support and listen to me. Give honors to Chief Holiday, because I remember when I first entered this community, I used to, I was, and it was on his platform where him and A1 was there, and I got on there. And honors to it. I also give honors, when it comes to the land patent issue. I've said it many times directly to her, to Janice, for bringing that forward. I give her honors, and I'm indebted for that. And because prior to hearing that from her, I didn't know about my paternal great grandfather picking the Grisette with the land patent. So, but she basically gave me the missing stone of my infinity gauntlet. So, I'm dangerous now with that, and helping others claim their ancestral estate, the land that was patented, and will be claiming my own early next year. And I would give honors and shout outs to people that bring valuable information. Like I said, Kurt Mayo brought valuable information when it comes to American returnees. Honors to him. Because I only judge you on your information. I only judge you on that, right? And the contributions that the Nevilles make to the community is invaluable. And I give honors to all. Top Cat, a lot of valuable information. So I humble myself and put others up above me and give honors. And that's how we must be there, right? So good night to all, and I'm looking forward to sharing information with the family next time.